Welcome to We Love That For You, a wedding podcast with personality, perspective, and plenty of heart. We are Chris and Jackie from Limelight Entertainment, and we're here to help you plan your best day ever without the stress.
So before we get into the bulk of this episode, I really want to talk about last weekend's wedding. So we had an amazing wedding at the Hamilton Manor, Kelsey and Kevin's wedding, and they were fantastic from the start. Literally from the moment that I got on the phone with them, I knew that this was going to be great. They had great excitement. They were really, really excited to use all of our services, which was fantastic. You know, we were happy to help them in whichever way that they need. But the wedding as a whole was absolutely amazing. I mean, the day was so much fun from start to finish. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, you know, your experience and what your thoughts of the day were?
Yeah, we just had a really great day from getting ready all the way till we left at cake cutting. It was just epic. Kelsey and Kevin just bring the most joyful, positive energy. They were so excited for us to be there for them. Their family was so excited for us to be there for them. And just being able to be a part of a wedding like that makes me feel very grateful. You know, they had us for entertainment, photography, and videography. The photo video team's energy mimicked the couple's energy. It was just joyful and fun, and everything just seems to just fall into place when you are there for a couple like that, and you are there with your own team, and everybody's just jiving together. It was magic. I think it was magic. Photography came out beautiful. The video is going to be amazing. I'm so excited for it. And then the energy at the party was, couldn't have gotten any better. It couldn't have.
You know what I loved about them on their wedding day? They were so excited on their wedding day.
So excited.
Right? So
and so thankful.
Yeah, so excited and so thankful. They were fantastic. When I went upstairs to line them up for introductions, like, they were so excited to see me. They were super pumped to come out into the reception, which made me even more excited to bring them out into the reception.
Yeah.
And then that excitement, it kind of like, it trickles to everybody else in the room.
Everyone feels it.
Because they were so excited to be there. Mm-hmm. Everyone else was excited for them, and it just created this awesome energy in the space. And we had such a great time that night, And then throughout the night, I was checking in with them, making sure that everything was okay. And they were just smile from ear to ear, made me happy. And I just loved that everyone was having a good time. The dance floor was pumping all night. We had a great time. Everyone was dancing. We definitely had some impactful moments, some memorable moments, and it was great. You know? And then at the end of the night, talking to them as well.
Yeah.
They were so grateful for everything. It was such a pleasure working with them. They were just ideal. They were fantastic.
The best energy. The best energy. Kevin, at one point in time, when I was getting Kevin set up for his first look, obviously said hello to him. It was the first time I saw him all day. And he was like, "Jackie, I'm so glad you're here." And I was like,
doesn't that make you feel good?
I'm so glad I'm here. Like, I want to start crying right now thinking about it. But they just have just such an appreciative, grateful energy. And just being able to have couples like that book us again and again is just, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a great time. It was a great wedding. Great photos.
Do you want to talk about like some of the photography points like throughout the day?
Yeah, I mean,
you mentioned the first look. I don't know.
Yeah, the first look was really sweet. They read their vows to each other, which was really nice. They read their vows to each other in practice for their ceremony, which I thought was a really cool idea.
That's cool.
And we are able to use their audio in their documentary film. So, so that's a really cool, something really nice that they did for each other. And then they said, they just wanted to be able to get them out privately before they said them in front of their family and friends. So
can I ask you a question about that? You mentioned that this couple read their vows together to each other prior to their ceremony. So what is that like Does that happen during the first look? Like, how do you set that up? How do you offer them privacy? How do you help them through that moment?
We normally will set that up right after first look. So it's most of the time I like to encourage a private first look. Like that basically means not including wedding party or family members there watching, which some of our couples prefer to have family members watching. Totally a preference thing, but I like a nice private first look. It's just you and then your professional team. And we're all standing back. This is, a big candid documentary moment. We're all standing back. We're letting the moments unfold. We're not stepping in. And it's nice to do the vow readings right after that because it is just the two of them there. It is still incredibly private. And you go from like one heightened emotional moment to another. So it's just really nice. I mean, they had absolutely beautiful vows, funny vows. Like they're really cute together. And I think it made a really special moment.
That's awesome.
So that was really cool. We got around a lot of the venue grounds. We hit a lot of really great locations for photography and videography there. And that was because they were just like, I was like, okay, you want to go and try this out here? And they'd be like, okay, let's go. They trusted me from the get go, but they put 100% of their trust in me that day. And it shows, it shows because they let go and their joyful smiles and laughs and, energy is just present in their visuals.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. So anyway, that was our weekend. We just wanted a cute little recap of that. I'm still, I woke up Saturday morning feeling just so good about the day. I'm still feeling so good about that wedding. But
I'm sure you got some sneak peeks out already.
Sneak peeks are done. I couldn't wait. And it just all worked out. Their families are going nuts over them and telling me they can't wait for their cousins and their, friends are booking us. And it's just a really cool, it's really cool to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, totally.
So that brings us to talk about the dreaded words, the one-stop shop. So
dreaded. Now, why are they dreaded?
So anyway, let's just let our reader or viewers know that a one-stop shop in our area in New Jersey is considered a place where you can book multiple wedding vendors or multiple wedding services in one place. And the one-stop shop gets this reputation. I think that's the only way I can describe the way that the internet talks about the wedding one-stop shop. And I say the internet because I'm in a lot of different forums and groups. Could be photographer groups, could be a wedding, planning group, whatever the case may be. But the stigma behind the one-stop shop is that, it's a wedding factory, that the quality is low, sales are high, quality is low. You aren't getting great vendors. You're getting, just random subcontractors.
You're getting a great price, but maybe not the best service.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of opinion out there about it. What we're here, what I think that I truly believe in for us and for Limelight Entertainment is that we're here to disrupt that notion, to disrupt that stigma, and to say, no, it doesn't always have to be that way. We can offer convenience and high quality at the same time. And
100%.
that's our goal. That's our goal here. We are not focused on, just trying to book everyone and anyone and, losing the quality throughout the entire planning process. So, most of the one-stop shops you'll see out there might be the reason the stigma exists, but not us. Like, that's not what we're here for. Let's talk about why we feel like the stigma exists. I would say to start out, the stigma exists because I I think that people believe that when it comes to these types of companies that, they might do one service really, really well and then kind of let the other services fall short. Would you agree with me? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that that's what people think of when they hear of one-stop shops, probably because that's what people have been experiencing in the past, maybe, right? Because, maybe it's possible that one-stop shops in the past were kind of built on, okay, we're just going to do volume. We're going to do one thing really well. We're going to offer all services, but we're not going to offer quality across the board. So
Yeah. That more like the other services are more like add-ons.
yeah, exactly.
It's like we're an entertainment company, but you can add on photo.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we're a photo company and you can add on video.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I think that definitely gives that negative stigma to a one-stop shop, where like in our situation, we have somebody in charge of each department and quality control.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that? Like, you're in charge of entertainment and you're in charge of that quality control.
Yeah, because I don't want people to think that way of us, right?
Right.
Because we kind of set out to offer quality amongst everything that we do.
Yeah. We don't go out there and do anything less than the best.
No. Why
We're too hard on ourselves.
Yeah, no.
For us to go out there and not do that. Even when we took on videography, it was a goal of ours to make sure that someone was in charge of that department and making sure that quality control was there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like for any company, that's offering all these services, I would think it's really, really important to just make sure that there's, unity and good leadership and just making sure that the quality control is where it should be for all three services, because just because someone is coming to a company for all three services doesn't mean that you should lack in a particular service,
Yeah, no, and I think that brings us to our trainings and our leadership and our unified workshops, trainings that we do for our team, is just making sure that quality is there across the board, where I feel like, and I'm not pointing any particular company out, but I feel like there are a lot of companies out there that are just subcontracting anyone available,
Yeah,
so
100%. That happens all the time.
it's like, all of a sudden the date's approaching and someone's now looking for just a random subcontractor to fill the date, where in our situation, it's like, who your lead photographer is, and your second photographer is part of our team, same thing with video. It's like, what to expect, and entertainment, your entertainer, so, and then when you're subcontracting out like randomly, then you have team members who barely know each other, who are just thrown together.
Yeah, so
which is awkward.
Yeah, so let's say you hire this multi-op company, right? That's putting together, a DJ photo and video package for you. But maybe this multi-op company offered you a great deal on everything, but what they're doing is they're just subbing out all the work,
piecing it together.
How is there any like cohesiveness in that?
Piecing it together.
Yeah.
I recently did like a little feedback form for my team, and a couple of them filled it out, and which was really nice because I want to hear like what. And the first question is, what do you love about working for Limelight? And every single person that filled out was the people that we work with, and that spoke to me. That made me feel really good about the people that I put on my team, and it's always something that I've always valued. And even going back to our wedding this weekend, we had so much fun together.
Yeah.
We've got Corey and Nick dancing in the corner, and Shelby's dancing up on the stage, and everyone's just having a really good time together. And that is something I very much value. So, that's a huge difference between what you would get with a one-stop shop, quote unquote, one-stop shop.
And that kind of translates too, right? Because like
Totally.
if our team's having fun and they're enjoying the day and they're having a great time, that's going to translate to the couple. That's going to translate to the wedding party, the parents, and everybody.
Do you
And
know?
it just gives a better overall experience.
100%. Do you know how many times I have people approach me when I'm at weddings telling me, you all look like you are having so much fun?
That's great.
Well,
it's a wedding. We should be having fun, right?
Agreed. Agreed. Well, I don't know.
We're not going to sit there miserable.
Back in the day when I first started, there were some people that I worked for that I was like, oh, I'm having fun. I don't know about you.
Well,
anyway,
in any industry, you have your salty dogs out there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, that's why, that's what we value here. That's why it's so important to make sure that you're booking a team that is a team and it's not just like a thrown together team.
Yeah, 100%.
Like a last minute thrown together team, and a team that's valued, like we value our team, and, we try really hard to take care of them, you know. The quality control also across the departments is high, we have a level of quality that we ask everyone to strive for. I'm doing that with feedback videos and just, team videos, boosting the team, showing them photos that are epic and stand out, and just letting everyone know, like, hey, so-and-so achieved this shot and it is so great and we love it, and just different ways that we make sure that we keep that quality across the board here.
Gotcha. So you're talking about ways that you keep your photo team all, kind of unison. Everybody's delivering the same experience. Everybody's delivering the same photos. Cool. Is there anything that you want to elaborate on that a little more? Like talking about how you kind of keep your photography team consistent?
Yeah, I mean, we always have the same set of lead photographers. We also pull from the same group for second photography. So, these photographers have been photographing with me since 2017, some of them. So 2016, actually, I think, is the one that's been with us for the longest, So these photographers know our particular style, and I'm able to hop on these little training videos and show them, what I loved about what they just photographed, and just try to encourage more of that and showing them the difference, hopping on, showing them something that I did that was different, and just as much training as possible, like we try to I try to train as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's great when you have the same people for years, because then it's consistent,
We're very consistent.
They're going to constantly deliver that look that our clients are looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone knows, the style, and your gallery is consistent from start to finish. So that's, part of our quality control here, when it comes to photography is consistency across the board. But also at the top of that is the way that you treat our couples, so that is very, very important to me, is having that good energy, being that support team, not only for the photography team, videography team, but also for the wedding couple. So, so just quality across the board. So, another few reasons why these particular one-stop shops would have that negative stigma is maybe the DJ doesn't know the photographer doesn't know the video style. There's a disconnect there, which, don't get me wrong, like, we can work with other companies all the time. It's just, there's just a completely different energy when you put all of the Limelight team together in the same room, and there's that flow of the day. And I know we mentioned this in a previous episode, is the DJ coming up and paying that respect to the photography team, telling the photography team, here's the formalities that we're going to experience tonight. Here's the plan for the evening. The photographer coming up to the DJ and saying, I'm taking them out for a night shot. Don't play any must-have songs, on that list while I've got them outside.
Yeah, you just said that to me the other day.
Well, that was Friday when we were all together. And then, the photography team also thinking about the video team, knowing video wants movement. Like we can sit and pose photography all day long, stills and things like that. Although I prefer a lot more movement anyway, but video wants that movement in their films. So giving those prompts, giving those poses or prompts to the couple to walk, to flow the dress, to do this, to do that, to grab hands, to run, whatever, just knowing that they're keeping videography in mind. So
yeah, I feel like that's a really important point to make. You mentioned movement, right? Because when you pose for video, there has to be movement with it. So, you completely understand that. So it's going to make the couple's day run smoother, right? Because if you're posing, really, when you're photographing them, you're really kind of running down the timeline. You're the one in charge of like the timing of the day and everything else. Yeah. So, when you're posing them for a moment, not only are you thinking, oh, I'm going to capture the most beautiful photo, but you're also thinking, okay, how is this couple going to look amazing on video? And you consider the movement.
Yeah.
This way they don't have to repeat the moment twice.
Yeah.
Right? Because what's that day look like if you're constantly if video is constantly having to say, oh, can you do that again? Because I want you to do it this way.
Right.
Like that just totally disrupts the couple's day. And it's got to be so
having to do
frustrating
things over
for
and
them.
over again, or just like even just knowing, like I used to ask Nick a lot. Nick's, he's our head videographer, but I used to ask him a lot, like, hey, do you have everything you need? And he'd always say, yeah, I'm good to go. Now I haven't even really asked him that lately. Like Friday, I barely asked him that. It was more or less, like him asking for a couple of moments without flash going off, and I'll usually offer that too. I'll say, hey, do you want me to turn my flash off for a couple of these? Because sometimes he doesn't want that pop in the video. So but yeah, like just knowing what the video team needs before they even have to ask for it.
Yeah, and that's great. And that's probably great for the couple, and it probably makes their day
we got
so
so much done. Like I said, we bounced from location to location to location. We really didn't have to repeat much at all. Got a ton of variety and had fun doing it.
Yeah,
and
100%.
That was the biggest key, So something else that I think is a stigma, is this, idea that, the company is scaling fast without scaling their standards, and that it becomes, more about convenience over craftsmanship, so or sales and higher numbers, like high volume, where like our focus is about, treating each and every wedding as if it was our own.
Sure.
And, not scaling to a point where we can't handle it all, like making sure we have those systems in place, making sure we have that leadership in place, and also making sure that we are offering that quality across the board, and it's not about the number. It's, being able to treat every wedding as if it's our own.
Yeah, in the end, it all comes down to just making sure that clients are taken care of 110%, because, that's what's really going to give any company longevity.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to have that balance, because it, like I said, on the interwebs, on the internet out there, I've heard things, I've heard things like, hey, this company's great, and then you book them, and then they stop answering emails, and it's just, you start to wonder if it's just, a high volume issue where it's like, yeah, you might be able to get all services bundled together for like $5,000, but
ridiculous.
How many weddings are they doing a year?
Yeah.
And if you email them and have a question for them, how long is it going to take them to get back to you?
Yeah.
Because they're doing hundreds
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
company
there's
is probably doing like 700, 800 weddings.
weddings a year.
Yeah, and they can't handle the client management, and they're overwhelmed, and they're just completely burnt out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe you got a great price, but
Yeah.
if you're gonna pay for it in the end,
Yeah.
with the experience that you're
My
gonna
couples
get.
can bring me anything they need, and usually it's a couple days the longest. The
Yeah.
longest is if you email me on a Friday and I don't get back to you till Monday usually. But
Oh yeah, we're getting back to you right away.
there's definitely no ghosting involved here.
I hate that myself. Like if I
Yeah.
hire someone or whatever, like let's say I hire a contractor or whatever, right? And then like I'm waiting for this guy to come to my house, and it's like he tells me,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm coming on Tuesday or maybe
Yeah.
Wednesday, but I'll let you know by Monday." And then like Monday's halfway
like,
through, and I'm like,
yeah.
"Is this guy coming Tuesday? Is he coming Wednesday? Like what's
Yeah.
going on?" Like I hate being left in the dark like that. It's like I would never want to do that to our clients.
It lowers your confidence in them too.
Yeah, completely.
So
Then I start doubting him, and I'm like, "Is this guy the real deal?"
yeah, yeah, I agree. That's important. I love a quick response time, so I always try to respond as fast as possible.
Definitely.
I remember this couple had already booked us for entertainment and photo. This couple was from like pre-COVID, but she was reaching out for a family session, and we had just gone on our ski trip. And I was like, hey, sorry for the delayed response, but I'm going to be with spotty Wi-Fi right now. I'll definitely get back to you by Monday. And she was like, delayed response? You just answered me back the next day and you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Don't apologize.
Yeah.
So that's just my mentality though.
Got to take care of your people.
Yeah. So here's a couple of things that I was thinking would make couples nervous. When it comes to
Nervous about what? Exactly.
when it comes to booking their wedding professionals. So some of the things that I think couples are thinking about when they're booking their wedding professionals would be like that they're completely overwhelmed. They're afraid of making the wrong choice. They don't want awkward vendors. They don't want missed moments. They want vendor chemistry, but without like a finger pointing kind of mentality. And they want one team, but they don't want that watered down quality. So these are all things that, when you put your trust in us, we can definitely make you feel a lot better about.
When couples are looking for multiple services under one roof, like what do they want? They want consistency. They want to know that they're being taken care of. They want to know that this is going to be right for me. So
the day flows, the timeline flows. Vendors respect each other.
Exactly. So how is a couple who is looking for a multi-service company gonna know that it's the right choice for them? So what are some questions that they could be asking when they're interviewing potential companies?
Yeah. A great question that they can ask their potential company or their potential wedding company would be, how often does your team train together? How often is training focused on? Or how often are they working together?
And what kind of answers should they be looking for?
Well, like I said, they should be looking for some sort of team effort. Is there a one unified photography style? Because some I feel like will show you a different photographer, and then you click on their work and it's like one kind of editing style. And then you go to click on another photographer's work and it's a different kind of editing style. Don't get me wrong, photography is art and it's, relative to the artist. But at the same time, if you're investing in your photography and it is a multi-op kind of a company, then you should be able to go to their website, their portfolios, and every portfolio should have some consistency. The editing should be 100% consistent.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference, in my opinion, between our photographers is some of them have just a different eye. You know, some of them pose a little differently, you know, and then some of them just see things slightly differently. You know, we're all kind of aiming for the same thing.
Which is fine, but in the end, all the photos are consistent as far as like editing goes,
all
and
of them,
exposure and all of that.
Exactly. You know, we have some photographers too that like, you know, will focus on, you know, certain aspects that another photographer might not focus on. You know, where like, for example, we have one who I can tell it's her gallery because she just focuses on all these beautiful in-between moments.
And that's great, which is exactly why you have team member pages, right? So, you know, you have team member pages where you can go to each photographer's personal page, take a look at their work, take a look at their portfolios, and, you know, say, okay, yeah, this photographer is right for me.
Yeah, and you can look at all of the different portfolios and see very slight differences with a very uniform editing style.
Exactly.
And their shot lists are, you know, that's a uniform thing, you know, like we all capture a wedding day slightly differently, but all the same at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But we do train together. You know, last winter, we did a series of workshops that focused on, you know, lead photographer expectations, second photographer expectations, photo assistant expectations. And now I've been focusing on, like I said earlier in this episode, the training aspect of it, you know, like the feedback, you know, taking a full wedding day and being like, I love this and I love this and I love this. And this is how this was shot. And this is exactly what we're looking for in a full final gallery, you know? But another question a couple can ask a potential wedding company would be, you know, do your vendors regularly work together? So, you know, if you are about to book a company that might be more on like the quote unquote budget side and they are a quote unquote one-stop shop, ask them like, you know, how far out do you select your photographers for our wedding? How far out do you select your videographers for our wedding? And then have they all worked together and how frequently do they work together?
Yeah.
You know, I work with the same videographers and the same photographers all year long for almost a decade.
Yeah, because you're going to want that cohesive experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, can I see full galleries, not just the highlight reels? Ask to see full galleries.
Yeah, from a photography standpoint.
Yeah.
You want to be able to see the photographer's full gallery because that's really going to show a day from start to finish, those getting ready details.
And the lead
getting ready moments, I should say, detail shots.
And the lead photographer and second photographer and how those photos blend together.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
it's not
because
all about
what?
Sorry.
No, I was going to say because maybe you do know your lead photographer early on when you first book, but maybe the second photographer is a random subcontractor that never works with that lead photographer. You know, so it's just nice to know that everything blends cohesively together and creates a really full wedding gallery.
Yeah,
being able to see it.
You don't see the whole picture when you're just looking at photos
portfolio.
On social platforms or the website.
Yeah, portfolio.
You really got to dive into individual galleries.
Yeah. Ask to see them. Ask to see full wedding galleries. I think that is your biggest flex as a wedding couple looking to hire photographer.
Yeah, definitely. And then from a DJ standpoint, like if, you know, number one, ask if you're going to know who your main entertainer is.
Yeah.
Right? If you're hiring a multi-op company, hey, do I get to choose my DJ? You know, that's important to me. So who's it going to be? and one thing that I always do is, when someone's telling me about like the music that they like or the vibe that they're going for, like I like to pair them with someone who I think is a good fit on our team, and then I'll offer them a conversation with that particular entertainer. Like, hey, listen, before we move forward, how about, you hop on a call with so-and-so and we make sure that this is a good fit. This way they feel confident in their decision, and then, we can move forward from there. So,
Yeah. How about if the couple were to ask you like what your onboarding procedure is, like how you select your DJs? That would be a great question for a couple to ask.
The couple?
For the couple to ask the potential wedding company.
Oh yeah. Well, that kind of
gets like the selection process in your event hosts.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm always confused about? So when that question comes up, right? Like, let's say a couple does ask a company that question, and they say, "Oh, well, we have a trusted team of professionals. Don't worry about it." Okay, well, who is that trusted team of professionals?
That sounds like a very blanket statement.
Yeah, that sounds like, no, you really don't. You're just gonna get me whoever is available.
You're gaslighting
like the week
me.
Of. Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're gaslighting me. Like, what is the process? What is the process in the way you select your event hosts? You have a standard.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
if somebody were to ask that question to you, you wouldn't be uncomfortable. You'd know exactly what to say, and you'd know exactly who on your team you would assign to that person's wedding based on their music preferences.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
That's the difference, is like, are you being gaslit? Like some couples I feel like are so overwhelmed in the planning process that they might be able to be gaslit. Definitely. In a conversation like that. Maybe they've been told to ask that question, but they don't know why they're asking that question. But asking that question, like, what's your onboarding process? How do you select your event hosts? Because you do the same thing I do. You go out and you follow them. You want to see them perform as a DJ, and then you make them follow you. Our photographers, it's the same way. Like you can't just call me up and be like, I have been second shooting for years and I would like to second shoot for you. No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to be able to see your straight out of camera images. I want to see how you treat a couple. All of our lead photographers, I've witnessed them working alongside me, with me as the leader, me as the lead, alongside me. And I've seen them be there for the couple. I've seen their personality on a wedding day. I've seen them be organized. I've seen them also, take care of the team and have a great attitude. Again, going back to the people, like it's very important for me to know that the people that I send out on wedding days has a great positive energy, a supportive energy. So being able to see that with me as the lead first is very important.
Absolutely.
But asking that question to your potential wedding company is very important. Making sure that there is an onboarding process, that there is a system in place for making sure you can achieve the excellence that you deserve.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Those are the biggest questions I can think of. Maybe how many weddings a year do you guys do? And how do you?
I don't think that's super important.
Yeah. How do you maintain consistency?
How do you maintain consistency?
Yeah. Or quality?
Is a good question, rather than how many weddings do you do? Because if
you've got good systems, you can do many weddings.
Yeah, if a company has great systems in place, they can scale however they'd like.
Yeah. How do you maintain consistency? Which is, I feel like we've already discussed that. But I think those are the biggest points, to make when you're interviewing and deciding what kind of multi-service company you're looking to help you out with your wedding day.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Well, closing thoughts on this episode, because we've been talking for a while. Convenience should never cost you quality, which you know, is what our main focus on is. We want to make this easy for you. We want to make this stress free, but we don't want you to sacrifice the quality in it.
Yeah, absolutely not.
I do know that, you know, from what I've heard from other brides and grooms, that, you know, when it's an overwhelming thing to plan a wedding, it's an overwhelming thing to think about vendors and know that you're booking somebody that you can trust. There are a lot of shady vendors out there, you know. Unfortunately, you know, there's many stories, and it can really, really scare or overwhelm a couple putting together a wedding day. So, you know, knowing that you can trust a team is there. I don't think that there's anything else out there that could be, you know, more valuable than that.
Definitely.
So, but then also still having that convenience of not having to worry about piecemealing vendors together and, you know, okay, now I've done photography. Let's move on to the next task. You get all done at once, you know, you can get it all done at once, and the quality will still be there with us. And that the one-stop shop is not necessarily the problem. It's the low standards. So I don't like to call us a one-stop shop. I like to call us a wedding dream team. But whatever you call it, you know, the standards do not have to be low. They can be set. The bar can be set nice and high for something like that. That your wedding deserves alignment. So a team that will align together and work as a team. And that you should look for systems, look for culture, and look for standards when you are searching. So, you know, look for that team standard and the systems in place to make sure that, you know, quality never suffers.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, with that said, if you want to see how we approach weddings here at Limelight, you can visit us at limelightwedding.com. And yeah, until next time, wherever you are and whatever you are planning, we love that for you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If this episode was helpful, make sure you follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We love hearing from you, so if you have a question, a planning struggle, or an episode idea, email me at jackie@limelightEntertainmentNJ.com. There's a really good chance your question becomes a future episode. And if you're planning a New Jersey wedding and want vendors who truly care, you can find us at limelightwedding.com. And remember, wherever you're planning and whatever you're dreaming, we love that for you.